This is Joe Krein from Elvis2001.net. We're on Elvis Express Radio. We have Jenifer Holden with us. Hi, Jenifer.
Hi.
Jenifer, can you...
doing?
I'm doing fine, Jenifer. How are you?
Great.
Good. Jenifer, can you first tell me a little bit about yourself, where you grew up, where you were born?
Well, I was born in Chicago because my father, he came from England and he was working in Chicago, so that's where I was born.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, I would have been in England.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. When did you always decide that you wanted to be an actress?
Well, I think I always knew that I loved to sing, and I used to sing in this mirror all the time until I would hear footsteps coming up the stairs, and then I'd go running to the back room.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, I was always, and other times I would sit on the side of the fence, being the director to all my friends who didn't want to act.
So what was your first acting job, Jenifer?
The first thing was when I started modeling in Chicago at an agency, and they had a Miss Chicago contest, and I was only 16, and you're supposed to be 18.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't, I just pretended I was 18, and I came in second.
Oh, goodness.
Which, usually the first one is sixth.
Yeah.
And so I was very happy because they didn't have to ask me,
Yeah.
check on my age.
Yeah.
And after that, I went to the Latin Quarter in Boston, and I started doing straight comedy with the Slate Brothers.
Mm-hmm.
And then we went to New York. We were booked in New York after that Christmas week, and it was just before Judy Garland had died.
Mm-hmm.
And we opened for her.
Huh.
So that was another thing. And then I went out to the coast and I danced with a number of groups from Argentina and whatnot and shows in Vegas.
Mm-hmm.
And I met everybody there, all the comedians and actors and people that came there. And then I was asked to come to Hollywood and do a screen test.
Uh-huh. What was that for?
I did, and they immediately, started giving me parts. So I did about 4 films, and then I signed with Columbia after that.
So, now when did you first meet Elvis Presley?
Well, I met him in Vegas, of all things.
Mm-hmm.
He was coming out of the new Frontier, or the old Frontier Casino.
Uh-huh.
And I was thinking, God, he's beautiful. I mean, I didn't really know who he was. He had black leather jacket and pants and the whole thing. And I was like, I wonder if I should just put my foot out and trip him. I mean, nobody was around.
Yeah.
And anyway, I let him walk through. I didn't trip him.
So, who put the two of you together to meet for the first time? Was it for Jailhouse?
Well, it's after I did a film with this director, Richard Thorpe, and Pandro Berman directed it with Tip and a Dead Jockey. It was with Robert Taylor, and he was like old school actor that you have to walk exactly 10 steps and say what you're going to say.
Mm-hmm.
And my gait was was longer footed, I guess, and I'd say it at 8, the count of 8, because it seemed right.
Right.
And so I heard after we shot the whole thing that he cut me out of the film.
Oh, goodness.
And Richard Thorpe said, that's all right. Don't you even worry about it. He says, you're in my next film. And I went, right, thanks a lot.
Uh-huh.
I didn't believe it, And, but I know that, they'd give me parts with all these different accents, and I would just break them up. They would be just rolling in their seats. And so here I am in this room, this little office room with 5 different directors and producers around, and they're shooting me with questions right and left. And I thought I made the biggest fool of myself I've ever done in my life.
Uh-huh.
And I went home and I cried.
Because you didn't think you got the part.
And I got the call that I got the film.
And that was for?
That was for Jailhouse Rock.
That was for Jailhouse Rock. Wow, wow.
And one, it's funny, things that you think you're going to get, you don't. You say, oh, I pulled that off so well. I actually had a communication with the director, like one-on-one instead of some dizzy, And here I was the most defenseless, and I get the part. Go figure.
Yeah. So can you tell me the first time that you got to talk to Elvis Presley?
Well, that was on the set.
Okay. Can you remember what was said or anything, or?
Well, he was not in the best of moods. He was about to go in the Army, and he thought he was going to lose his career, and the colonel had talked him into it, so he wasn't feeling that great, and he was hanging out with his boys, so he didn't even think of coming over and introducing himself.
Oh, really?
But afterwards, as things came about, and you can see the first scene that happens, I'm like, you know, wondering, who is this guy? He can't even introduce himself to his co-star, you know. And anyway, as it came about, we worked for a couple of days, and we got to know each other better, and, you know, he explained a lot of what, you know, he'd been going through. And after the pool scene, I went to the dressing room, and I went to pull the cord out because it was like 120 in there, and the cord came away from the plug, and the fire started shooting across, and I had 2 feet, you know, relay from the plug to the counter of the dressing room, and it just left me, so I yelled, and he came back. He got somebody to break the door open.
Wow.
And after that, we were like buddies, and
yeah.
You know, he showed me all his Cadillacs and everything at the Beverly Wilshire.
So what would you and Elvis talk about? I mean, did he ever talk about his mom or anything like that, or the things that he liked?
Mainly, his whole concern was about having to go in the Army.
Really?
And thinking he was going to lose his career.
Did he?
And I don't know who talked out of me, but I said, Elvis, that's not going to happen to you. You came at a time when everybody just is so ready for you. Don't ever worry about that.
Yeah. Now, you didn't even know, did you know of Elvis Presley? I mean, were you a fan?
I was really sort of more Beatles
Really?
at that time.
Yeah.
No, that was actually a little bit later.
Yeah, that was later, but...
I think I was more into, like, jazz.
Yeah. Yeah, and Frank Sinatra type stuff.
That and yeah, but mainly into jazz. I loved Coltrane and all those, you know. And actually, when I got on the set and I started to really familiarize myself with his rhythm, I mean, you could be so mad, you know, mad at him for something, and like all of a sudden he'd start playing, and you'd be jumping all over the place. I mean, he just had that rhythm that just, you couldn't replace it. I mean, and to hear him right next to you, you know, it was a whole other thing.
Well, I'm sure the girls want me to ask, how was it kissing Elvis Presley?
Oh, he's great. He had these big old billowy lips. Yeah.
And how many times did you have to do that?
Any problems we had?
No. How many times did you have to do that scene?
Right away. It was so funny because when we did it, he was supposed to say, okay, Elvis, stop, but it kept going, cut.
Right.
And then, you know, I just said this funny thing which wasn't even in the script. I'm coming all unglued. You know, and everybody just went,
so you ad-libbed that. So you ad-libbed that and it stayed in the film. Wow, that's cool. That's very cool.
But a lot of times, you know, if you're sort of at the school that I was, I think we're born into the actor's studio type thing. Even if I didn't, you know, go there, we were just rebels, you know, without whatever cause or, you know. So I remember Bronson in a film that I did with him coming in and saying, look, I don't like this script, you know. If I say this, what would you say? And we rewrote the whole script within a half an hour.
Right.
We didn't even write it.
Right.
We just fell into, then we went and shot it right then.
You kind of played off the other. Yeah. Hey, Jenifer.
Go for the feeling and you just know what to say, you know, what feels right to you.
Right.
And he was excited about the fact that we could just do that, you know, because he was a little older than me and worked with these stiff, you know, guys that were personalities rather than character actors.
Jenifer, what did you think of Elvis's acting ability? How was Elvis as an actor?
He was totally natural.
Do you?
Yeah. I think a lot of the situation with Elvis was that he was so owned by this Carney guy, you know, Colonel Parker, that he would have continued to be the rebel, to be the next Brando or whatever, which is really what he wanted. He did the best, you know, just being the rebel. And he had to follow, you know, what his promoter said. And he was, Colonel Parker was, I mean, he was definitely out of the circus.
Yeah. Now, did you ever run into Colonel Parker on the set?
Oh, yeah. We met at the in MGM at the commissary.
Any problems?
No, he was a nice man. He was a nice man, and he did his best, and he, you know, he definitely knew what market and everything.
Right.
And, you know, but the Beatles loved Jailhouse Rock. They said that was the best film he'd ever done because of, you know, what he did then, because he had that rebellious thing, and that was what everybody was really ready for, you know.
Right. Now, even back then in Jailhouse Rock, did Elvis have a lot of his entourage around him?
Just his boys, just the group that he, you know, always traveled with.
Mm-hmm.
They were nice guys. I'd probably meet them at this next thing, this Night of Stars.
Yeah, there's going to be a lot of people there.
Yeah,
They're talking about in Memphis this year, there's going to be 75,000 people. Can you believe that?
I know.
Wow, 30-year anniversary.
Yeah.
Wow. Hey, can you remember anything funny that happened on the set, or they say that Elvis liked to fool around it? And can you remember anything funny happening, or?
Just about everything was crazy. I mean, he'd pick me up when they're taking a picture of me, or some photographer would come up the lot and they'd say, "Put your arms around her waist, and you put your arms around his, and jump up in the air, see how high you can jump," and we couldn't get off the ground. And then finally on the third one, we were just totally breaking up, and we seemed to get up about two feet, and the guy said, "Okay, take, great."
Oh, goodness.
I don't know if you've ever seen that picture, but we were really just laughing our heads off trying to get up off the ground.
Now, did you ever get any gifts or anything from Elvis, or?
No, I mean, I don't think we really were. There was such a time in his life where he just needed to talk to somebody. And, you know, he was very worried about things.
Yeah. Well, it's good that you were there. It's good. It's good that you were there to be able to talk to him.
It was because, and also Judy Tyler was another incredible plus for, you know, his feelings. She really, you know, explained to me he's really going through a hard time. So if he's acting distant, don't take it personally.
Yeah, and we lost.
When I realized that he was really worried, you know, upset about the whole thing, his whole life change, that's when we really started to center in on what was going on with him.
Yeah, and we lost her way too young too.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, at the end of Jailhouse Rock, was there a cast party?
I don't know. There wasn't. I mean, I'd been invited up to, you know, have dinner with him and stuff. But I don't think there was really any, you know, he was just going through so much, having to deal with breaking his career off.
Yeah.
Just chop, you know. It was like losing everything he thought he, you know, had gained. And
right.
He was very, very, you know, worried.
Right.
So there wasn't really a great deal of celebration that night.
Now, did you ever get to see Elvis again after Jailhouse Rock through the years?
I met him in Vegas once.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Can you tell us about that?
It wasn't really all that, you know, much. We just talked for a while, and I had a date at that time, and, you know, hi, what's going on? Da-da-da-da-da, you know.
So this was in this...
He was in between shows.
And how did he look?
He looked a little bit older, you know.
Yeah.
He looked different.
Yeah.
This was probably as he started to gain some weight. But he, you know, he was such a performer that it didn't really matter, you know, what he looked like, because he was Elvis.
Right. He was Elvis Presley.
And it's just so untimely how he, you know.
Well, that's the next question. Jenifer, can you tell me how you heard and how you felt when you heard that Elvis Presley had passed away?
I heard it over the radio up in Oregon, and I walked out after I heard it, and I told the children, and they remember exactly, you know, that moment that I walked out, and I said, well, Elvis is dead, you know. And they all started to cry, you know.
As a lot of us did.
Yeah.
As a lot of us did. Jenifer, what are you doing now?
Gosh, a lot of things. I've been involved in trying to write a book, and then I lost the whole 8 chapters of it somewhere.
Oh, my goodness.
But I've been doing a lot of things. I can't even tell you what.
Yeah.
But I'm doing a lot of interviews right now, and
yeah.
I think probably I'm going to start acting again.
Oh, that's wonderful. And now you're going to be at Susanna Lee's Night of a Thousand Stars. Wow, I wish I could be there. I know it's going to. I know it's going to be a great time. Susanna keeps saying, "I wish, Joe, that you could be there." And
everybody would be there.
Yes.
To make it happen, because it would be so nice to have the participation of people that never did go to Graceland or relate to Priscilla, because it's really going to be a gathering of the people who really were close to him in the times that they shot films with him.
Before I end this, I just wanted to ask: Did you ever get to go out with Elvis outside of the film, like to dinner or anything like that?
Yes, I was invited to his suite for dinner
mm-hmm.
with the boys. They all sat around the table, and we all talked about this and that and whatever.
Goodness, I bet you that was something.
Yeah. No, I mean, we had quite a few moments of, where we could really communicate without the set and the time and the shoot now and,
mm-hmm.
be ready for that. And, no, we had times where we had really, really deep communication.
Yeah, now it's a shame that Elvis didn't. I mean, after Jailhouse Rock, a lot of people would say that the quality of his scripts that he got was going downhill.
According to the Colonel, that was he was utilizing another generation of people, and he was actually from another generation.
Mm-hmm.
So he didn't really see the value in Elvis's rebellious movies.
Mm-hmm.
He wanted to put him into the Liberace category, but he still did well, and he's got people of all ages.
Yeah.
Which, if you think about it, a lot of rock stars come and go, whereas he got a full audience. I mean, if you're Frank Sinatra and you get only 50% of your audience, you're
mm-hmm.
a star. So I would say the Colonel was a businessman, and he knew what he was doing.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, look, it's a 30-year anniversary, and how many other people had passed, and you don't even think about them anymore. But
I know some of the most famous movies that have happened, and
mm-hmm.
I mean, ones that I thought were the greatest films I've ever heard. Maybe once every 10 years you see them on television.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, you can see that Elvis was an icon, so.
Oh, God, there was no two ways about it.
Yeah.
And I thought it was going to be a C-class movie. I went, oh, great.
Did you really? You didn't think it was going to do well?
I was so amazed that even today, and I had a lot of problems with the studios because they wanted me to do these rinky-tink, rin-tin-tin things in these westerns, and I always classified myself as a character actor. I mean, if I were a male, I would be Val Kilmer.
Uh-huh.
I would definitely walk into many different bodies and totally be that person. And I just have such respect as a character actor.
So you never really thought that Jailhouse Rock would turn out to be anything?
No.
And it's one of his...
Which is amazing, because I sort of left the scenes myself after that.
Well, Jenifer Holden, thank you very much for being a guest on Elvis Express Radio.
And I hope everybody tunes in on the new events that are happening soon.
Okay, thank you very much.
All stars.
Thank you very much, Jenifer. Bye-bye.